Okay, hi everyone. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us today in our virtual event, Braving COVID-19 Operations Digitally for F&B and Retail Businesses. So today we are going to talk about, for F&B and retail, how COVID-19 actually changed the consumer behavior and how they impacted the daily lives of how consumers go about making purchases or even dining in. So traditionally, brick and mortar businesses like F&B and retail really need to adapt to this change. Today, as well as next week, in this two-day virtual event, we'll be exploring how F&B as well as retail businesses can adopt innovative digital solutions with the help of the Digital Resilience Bonus, and also learn from some businesses who have successfully pivoted during this crisis. So before we start, I would just like to do some basic housekeeping. So we are having a Q&A section after the end of every presentation. So if you have any questions for the speakers, do use the Q&A box, which is located at the menu in the bottom of your screen. We will also be sending out a feedback form. Actually, when you exit the webinar, you'll be redirected to a feedback form link. We really appreciate if you can help to fill up this form to let us know how we can improve for our upcoming events. And also the question that people like to ask the most is about the recording and the slides. So yes, we will be sending out the recording of this session as well as the slides to everyone, along with a summary of the key points. For today's session, it'll be probably latest by tomorrow. So without further ado, we'll get started. Let me first share with you what is our program like for today. Ivan, can you help me go to the program slides? Okay, thank you. So today we'll be kickstarting the session with a fireside chat, adapting to the new normal. So we have actually invited two business leaders from retail and F&B to do some sharing about their experience during the circuit breaker and also how they managed to pivot their business during these tough times. Followed by that, we have a range of presentations. Firstly, winning cash flow strategies for businesses facing the new normal by Kada. How smart menus powered by AI can change the game for restaurants in the era of COVID by Tap Square. And finally, how retailers can boost your sales amidst a period of falling foot traffic by EPOS. So it will be a 15 minutes presentation along with a 5 minutes Q&A. And if at the end of the session we still have some time, then we'll have like open Q&A sessions to answer any unanswered questions. So for day 2, which is next Thursday, so just to give you a preview, so remember, come back next week, we will be inviting IMDA down to have a briefing about the Digital Resilience Bonus. They will be sharing more specifics about this program and other things like how you can apply for PayPal e-invoicing. We will also be having speakers from Just Login as well as Act Pro to share a bit about digitization for your manpower operations as well as for your accounting side of things, and how you can use the Digital Resilience Bonus for these solutions as well as some of the solutions that you'll be seeing today. So that's for our agenda, and we'll just get started with our fireside chat. Very glad to have with us today Angela, who is the Marketing Director and Second Gen Business Leader from Afterstam Jewelry. They are a gold retailer, wholesaler, and trader of precious metal and precious stone jewelry in Singapore. So first, maybe Angela, do you want to share a few words with us?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Yiting.
Great.
Hi, Nathan. Okay, so Afterstam Jewelry, like Yiting introduced, we are a gold retailer and wholesaler and trader of precious metal and precious stone jewelry located in Singapore. We have 3 outlets now in Serangoon Road. We have been established since year 2000, and currently we are in our 20th year of operation with over 50 employees and have become one of the leading and most trusted jewelers along this stretch in this very tourist-centric zone in Little India. So currently we have 3 retail showrooms and a wholesale office. So during COVID-19, our business was badly affected. And because we're in tourist-centric zone and there were travel restrictions, our sales have been trending down right before circuit breaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Angela. I think we'll get more into the questions for others time. So before that, I would like to introduce as well Mason, CEO of Harry's International, a well-known and liked restaurant and bar in Singapore. So Mason, can you maybe say hello to our audience before we start?
Yes, good afternoon, Eating and Angela and everyone that's listening in. I'm Nathan, Harry's CEO for the last 4 years. Harry's has been around for 28 years this year, since 1992. We've got 21 stores in Singapore and some regionally as well. So our revenue size of the business is somewhere over 30 million per annum with about 180 staff. So that's just a quick cap on what the brand is about.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. So thanks both of you for joining us here today. We'll get started. So we know that it's a very tough period for both retail and F&B. So I think the first question that I would just like to hear some sharing from you is, what was the biggest challenge for you from COVID-19? So maybe Angela, you can share first.
Okay, so just now I briefly mentioned that we are still in a tourist-centric zone, and then sales have been trending down right before circuit breaker. So during circuit breaker, we were not prepared because previously we were very focused on our brick and mortar business. So we literally had zero income during circuit breaker, and we had no digital capabilities. So what we did was we tried our best to research on what our industry players were doing, what are the best practices, and also, because of circuit breaker, we could not meet any of the vendors that we want to explore options with. We really had to do a lot of homework ourselves in our house. Yeah, so sales was definitely affected, but also COVID-19 has been a good driver of our digital transformation, because without COVID-19, we wouldn't have this sense of urgency right now. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so so for Angela, I know that you mentioned to me, so during the circuit breaker, you really went into building up your e-commerce channels. Yeah. And as well as if you visit Angela's Facebook page, which I think is featured on her background.
A different Facebook page.
Yeah, okay, so you actually find that they did something very interesting, which I saw, which selling gold on Facebook Live. So maybe, Angela, you want to share a bit about your experience about pivoting and how you've moved just from a brick and mortar to like online?
Okay. So during the last 2 weeks of circuit breaker, we managed to start our Facebook selling. And circuit breaker was like 3 months long, and this is not the fastest reaction. I think some of the other industry players or other people in other niche, they are already selling on Facebook Live. So what we are doing is we try our best to do what we can. And we were very worried, honestly, to be losing our regular customers to new and smaller players in the market. I mean, we've been around for 20 years in the business with a strong pool of regular customers and loyal customers when we had our brick and mortar store open. So we need to bring them back to the business, remind them that we're still around. So however, consumer preference is changing and evolving. So I think previously, we thought that consumers were not willing to buy big ticket items online, but that is changing already. We have seen some sales coming in through our e-commerce and social media efforts. So the average basket size of consumers is smaller right now, I think because of the economic situation as well. But we see growth in our market expanding, although sales is still not comparable to before. But we see that our market is expanding. So previously, our target audience were actually tourists. And then a large pool of our customers are also foreign dormitory workers. So currently, they're still confined in their dormitory due to COVID-19. And then tourists still not really traveling, not able to travel to Singapore right now. We are putting our focus on expanding the local markets that we previously have not tapped into. And with the help of social media and our newly established e-commerce platform, so we can see some growth there.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Yeah, it's great to see that you have expanded into new channel platforms as well as even new markets to try and adapt the business. So maybe now we can also hear from a more F&B perspective. So for Nathan, what were the challenge for you during the circuit breaker? And at that point of time, how did you try to adapt your business to keep things going as normal as the situation allows?
Yeah, so I think eating circuit breaker was very difficult for all businesses, and in particular when I look at F&B, once in-store dining was not allowed, then you're really left with delivery and takeaway. So in Harry's context, we were a little bit more fortunate because we have been working with the 3 delivery partners that we know in Singapore: Deliveroo, Grab, Food Panda. So we already had that going. Now, we didn't really pay too much attention there because pre-COVID, delivery sales was about 5% of my annual turnover. So it's not small, but definitely not big. And we still focused a lot on in-store dining, one-on-one customer relations for F&B dining experience. However, with the circuit breaker, we had no choice. We had to pivot and move really quickly. And we always knew that in order to be in the delivery game, we had to go island-wide. We were at the so-called mercy of our 3 delivery partners and where they were and that sort of concentration, right? So the geofencing becomes smaller and we had to go island-wide ASAP. So the good thing is we have been investing and spending a lot of time and effort in digitalization in a lot of forms. I mean, F&B, you can look at it from back-end, finance to HR to inventory and that so on and so forth. I can go with a long list. But in delivery itself, what we did was we used our service provider that does table reservations for us for in-house dining, quickly converted them to island-wide delivery, and we got that up and running within a week and signed an agreement with Lala Move to get the logistics going out. So from there, we saw within the first month of circuit breaker, our delivery sales alone went up about 400%. Now, dollar-wise, that's not a lot, but percentage-wise, that's quite a good effort or a good result, I might say, within a calendar month. And we always knew that this would drop. So when circuit breaker got lifted, we can see the pattern coming in. But however, we are dropping back to half of a good run. So we are still about 200% up from pre-COVID. Now, this is something that we work very hard to want to maintain, and then from here, try to grow it further. So we had to be competitive in pricing. We had to come up with, Harry's even has bento boxes now. We serve draft beer in 1 liter bags that get sent to your house, cocktails, DIY kits. So it's something that we want to continue to explore and move. And we've also got a little bit of merchandise, mainly for our tourist areas, right? Like Resorts World, Changi Airport. So that's taken a huge hit. So next online would then be our merchandise as well that we will try to push. So it's something that we were forced into, like Angela said earlier, and we've, I think, come out quite well from it. And it's something we definitely want to keep for the long term.
Great. So it's nice to see how both of you actually diversified your offerings just to adapt to your limitations that you were in. So now for Nathan, now that the circuit breaker has kind of ended and we are in a phase reopening, and obviously you have your dining business slowly coming back, how have you had to change or adapt your business to all the new regulations, and how do you see it further transitioning in like the longer term?
Yeah, so I think we are far from any form of recovery. So how I would put it is at least we got a little bit of money coming, which means our losses gets lessened. So the losses are still there, and a recovery period, especially for my business, could take as long as about 2 years if the virus can be contained at how it is now and slowly move towards improvement. Now, while circuit breaker was happening and we were focusing on delivery, we had another team concurrently or in parallel focusing on how do we open, right? We were well aware that safe distancing measures was going to be in place, safe entry has to be there, we're going to lose number of seats. So there was a lot of work that requires to be done. Then we also have to look at the safety of our staff and together with our patrons as well. So from a campaign point of view, from a safe and health and safe campaign point of view, we launched an SOP with our staff where we have 49 checklists to go through every day before you open the store, right? So from the queue process to the time the customer comes in and cleaning as we go along. So avoiding contact, or I wouldn't say avoiding, but the lesser the contact between consumers from different groups and also our staff, that was really important. So definitely online ordering had to come in, or QR code ordering, which is what we've adapted really quickly. And within that 2 months of CB, we've got everything sorted. And now we are almost about a month into post circuit breaker, and we've got all our stores with QR code ordering. So that definitely helps to minimize the time spent between staff and consumer. Then there's e-payment solutions as well. So these are things we quickly adopted. I think I believe TapSquare is one of the speakers later. So they are our service provider. We were also lucky because we actually piloted the old tab, not, I wouldn't say old, but the tablet format or the iPad format somewhere late last year. I was a very strong believer that my bar and restaurant cannot be 100% automated. And so I only did by sections. So it was very easy. TapSquare had a lot of our data. We got the menus going, and now we have to go 100% with e-ordering or QR code ordering. So we have not received any negative feedback from our consumers. Actually, what we see now, we've lost some seats, and we are only at about 50% of our revenue pre-COVID days. So we've got a long way to go. But we see the average spend being maintained and actually increasing. I think customers are also aware that, you know, you're seated, you got to spend, and then you move on. 10:30 is liquor licensing timing. And also the fact with using TapSquare as technology, we've worked with them before, and they've got a lot of business intelligence and AI going behind it. So recommendations comes through. So quite happy with the progress. But like I said, you think long way to go.
Great. Great that you mentioned about digitization. I think that's what a lot of businesses are looking at right now. And for Angela, you also shared with me that you started your digitalization journey with Just Login late last year. So with a HR software to get the foot in the door and make your management team really a bit more open to exploring other digitization options. So what are the other digital solutions that you are looking at, maybe that you can share with other retail businesses as well?
Okay, so pre-circuit breaker, because our financial year starts in December. So in December 2019, we decided to start off with Just Login. Because of the fact that we have a very lean team in the office, we have a large retail sales team. So I want to do was to lighten their load. We adopted Just Login with the help of the PSG grant, the Productivity Solutions grant. And then after that, we moved our documentation to Google Suite. So communications were easier. Previously, all the forms were printed out and we had to file and keep it for 5 years due to statutory regulations. And then after that, we set off our Shopee before COVID-19, but then we didn't do much to it. We just were exploring. But with the new financial help from the government from this COVID-19, we signed on to an e-commerce booster package. And then we took on Lazada as one of our e-commerce platform. So Lazada for us was just launched, I think, a few days ago. We already had some sales coming in, so that's good. And then for IT equipment wise, we also got new laptops for the staff. That we hired a few new staff to help us with our transformation. So under the Productivity Solutions grant, we also got 3 laptops at I think 90% subsidy. Apart from that, I think what we have done is also to tap on the resources available to upskill and train our existing staff. We try to retain all our staffs because we believe that they are our greatest asset when it comes to retail sales. Without people selling, you cannot function this business. So I'm very grateful to have Just Login as part of our key starter of our whole digital transformation journey. For our stakeholders and our directors to be more open to digitalizing the whole company because they've been so used to the brick and mortar system.
Okay. Thanks, Angela, for your support as well. So I think we are almost reaching the end of the fireside chat. I just want to ask you one final question. Maybe what is one tip that each of you can share with the F&B and F&B and retail businesses here with us today, who are also struggling right now and facing challenges? Maybe Angela, what's one tip you can share with them?
I think for SMEs, The one thing that you should do if you do not know where to start is to look for our SME center near you. There are 11 SME centers in Singapore, and I found out this morning that there are actually 80 business advisors from these SME centers who can help you. And then with the SME Can Do spirit, I think we're very fast in adapting to new normals. So do not be afraid to ask questions or go up to people who you think can help you. So I think more often than not, many people are just very open to help you, and just go and ask questions, and do not put your business on hold during your transformation. Find your key selling point and work on it. If you do not know what's your key selling point, then you need to look further into the product, your product offering, and find one so that you can have something to sell that is unique about you.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Angela. How about Mason? What is one tip you can share for fellow F&Bs?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned earlier that the journey is going to be long. So we should not take this time slow and try to speed up looking into your own particular businesses, whereby you know your footfalls will be down, or actually know your capacity reduction will be down, right? Digitalization and adopting new technology, everyone usually shies away from it. Now, if I wasn't a CEO, I would shy away from it as well, but I got no choice. Now I have to lead the way. And it really helps. The government's come up with a lot of grants. There are a lot of solutions out there. It's a matter of getting accustomed and used to. And I think what's really very important is these technologies that you use in your F&B context collates data, and some solutions, actually most solutions, would have some sort of AI or BI inbuilt into it. They actually coach and teach you about your business much faster than you can do it on Excel or a piece of paper, or just relying on your manager telling you what's going on, right? So data helps in that sense. Now, you need to start collating data. The only way is adoption of technology, and really spend some time looking into it. The grants are out there. Start off with simple things. In F&B context, like I said, QR code ordering is the simplest, right? You want to keep your waiters and consumers further away from each other. So once you start, and then you'll begin to explore a lot of back end and front end systems that are out there to help F&B businesses, in particular SMEs, where grants are available as well. So don't shy away from it, and please explore today.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Angela and Mason, so much for joining our fireside chat today. I appreciate your time and sharing your experiences with our audience.
Sure,
So,
no problem.
Both of you. Okay, so for the rest of the attendees, we'll actually now move on to our presentation. So I'll actually be moving to our first presentation speaker. First up, we have Nikki Ramsey, CEO and founder of Cardat, a fast-growing credit card enablement platform. So Nikki will be sharing about winning cash flow strategies for businesses facing the new normal. So can I have Nikki come up to share?
Thanks. Hi there. I think actually my video is it's saying the host needs to enable it. Are you able to? Thank you. Perfect. Great.
Okay, so I'll hand it over to you and you can share your slides.
And I think the other participant, whoever's doing the screen share at the moment, would it be possible just to stop your screen share so I can swap over? Perfect. Thanks, guys. Okay, hope you can all see my slides now. Is that on your screen as well?
Yes, looks good.
Perfect. So we're going to be sharing over the next 10 to 15 minutes some cash flow strategies and tips for businesses, and particularly in the F&B sector and the retail space during this time. In addition, we'll touch on, first off, just some of the issues that we're seeing, following with the tips and strategies that I mentioned, and then just finish off with how CardUp and Just Login is actually working together and provide you with an exclusive benefit that we hope that you'll find helpful during these times. So just to start off, I mean, I think cash flow is always at the forefront of a business owner's mind, but even more so during these times of uncertainty. And I think those that are most vulnerable are those clearly currently struggling for profitability or with low cash reserves. But actually, even businesses in pretty good financial shape may not be immune in this current environment. And some of the common challenges we're sort of hearing from our customers within the F&B and the retail space includes, just dealing with the large drop in sales and revenue. We just heard that firsthand. Also, dealing with late payments, I think, especially for distributors that are dealing with kind of global supply chains and reliant on import and export. And at the same time, obviously all of us as businesses continue to incur overheads, especially essential payments like, paying our staff costs, for example. Like we just heard from Angela, the team is really our greatest asset. So making sure that we can still pay these costs, and of course paying late there is not an option. And just to share a little bit of the data points from what we're seeing here in Singapore, it does paint a little bit of a sobering picture, but I think at the same time, rest assured, I think this is, so many businesses are going through this, and we're here to share a lot of the solutions and the ways that we can digitize and change in this new environment. So 93% of restaurants are experiencing a dip in revenue, which is unfortunately leading to cutbacks and operating challenges. In addition, the retail industry has also seen its biggest drop in sales for 22 years. So I'm going to share with you a few tips on the sort of strategies or points that you could consider when looking at cash flow and how to improve the current situation. But before I do, I wanted to just jump into a quick poll question, and if Ivan, you're able to help me with that and pull it up on the screen. Perfect, thank you. For everyone on the line, do you think there are enough solutions available to help cash flow issues in a cost-effective and flexible way? Ah, perfect, thank you. So 80% of you are saying there are not enough solutions available. Very interesting insight, and I think I can go on now to share hopefully some that you will find useful. And of course, both myself and the team are available also to go deeper into some of the options that are available in the market today, if that could be helpful after the session. Just moving the screen on. So let me just jump into a few of the key things then. So the first one I'm going to talk about is just tracking and forecasting. An accurate forecast will absolutely help you with planning your cash flow better, and by knowing when you're going to get paid, as well as when you have these big payments. And cash flow projections and planning and scenario planning is really critical during this time. And I think many of our customers, as well as ourselves as a business, have been looking at the various scenarios, worst case, best case, and making sure that we're prepared. I think making sure that you're doing the work up front to know how the business may fare in certain scenarios is something that's particularly key at the moment. In addition, keeping an eye on liquidity and conserving cash as much as possible. So perhaps reducing costs like a diverse menu items, or even changing opening hours. And finally, leveraging on cloud technology for kind of greater accessibility and collaboration within your teams, particularly when working remotely. And again, we heard from Angela previously, I think really like the example that she gave around using just login, but also something as simple as Google Sheets, which has enabled them to save time and work more efficiently during this period. The second point is around extending payables. So I think importantly, it's around flexibility in your payment terms. So more so than just lowering prices from your suppliers, is actually also having the flexibility to ensure that perhaps you can negotiate payment terms, and that you have a good relationship in place so that you can count on their understanding if trouble should strike. And then in addition to that, using your simple tools like credit card, for example, to actually help extend payables. So tapping into a credit line that most of us actually have available on a monthly basis in order to conserve cash flow and stop delay the payment from hitting your bank account immediately. And finally, improved receivables. So early payment discounts is something we do see within the sector. Asking for also deposits to be taken upfront when an order is taken, making sure that invoices are issued promptly, and that there's follow-up and you're on top of those amongst your team, And then finally, giving your customers more payment options. So in particular, this would include something like a credit card payment where your customer would actually then get a credit line in order to fulfill their payment obligations to you and helping you get paid faster. So I've mentioned credit cards a few times within that, and as you might have guessed from our company name, we play into that space. But I think, you know, one consideration when thinking about credit cards as a financing tool for your business is that often the biggest overheads that you have can't actually be put on cards. So take, for example, paying your salaries or paying the retail rental costs. And you know, that's really where we come in. So what we do is help both F&B companies as well as retailers make payments to recipients that don't take cards or haven't taken cards in the past. So you can see a few examples here on the slide, like paying your rent to the landlord or supplier payments to a supplier that doesn't take card payments. And the simple thing about the solution is that we don't require the recipient to offer a card payment option. In fact, we don't even need them to have a card up account because we pay out to them via bank transfer. And so a few of the benefits that you can find from this, I mean, there are several benefits. First off, the payer, you know, yourself making a payment can maximize the benefit of their credit card line, making use of the available credit to actually improve your payment terms on an invoice by up to 2 months. In addition, you continue to earn the credit card rewards or rebates that come from your bank. And also CardUp comes with, you know, a set of tools to help with business process automation and payment automation, helping your teams both work remotely, but also saving time. And finally, you know, get paid faster. I spoke about credit card payment options, but if you are a B2B business and you want to accept a credit card payment from your customer, then we have a receivable solution called CardUp Collect, which helps you do that without incurring any cost or needing any kind of payment gateway set up. So let me just bring this to life for very quickly for a minute. Imagine if you have an invoice that's due at the start of the month and you charge that invoice amount to your credit card. Your supplier would actually get paid on time, but you only receive your credit card bill at the start of the next month, and you then have nearly a month to pay that off. So this means your supplier gets paid on time, but you have almost 2 months before the cash actually leaves your bank account, and that credit or additional working capital is interest-free. I spoke also about, you know, bringing your finance teams together remotely. I think this is a trend that we're seeing, you know, across all sectors, but particularly in F&B and retail, really helping with digitizing payments. And clearly from the poll, there needs to be, we in the industry need to be doing more to also help you with solutions in this space. So just to mention that CardUp does also have the tools that's needed to help finance teams collaborate to help put certain payment approval levels and controls in place. And depending on the accounting platform you're using, we also have various integrations, for example, Xero, which helps with the exchange of data and information and helps you manage everything digitally. So finally, just to finish off, I hope that you know, those tips were helpful. And we didn't have much time today, but I'm very happy to take any questions at the end and go into more detail. If you are interested in trying out the solution, we've got an exclusive offer for everyone attending today, which is a discount on the transaction fee that we charge. So it is free to sign up to CardUp. There's no cost involved, but you can pay per transaction. And so there's a heavily discounted fee at 1.6%. And in addition, I just wanted to mention, you know, through our partnership with Just Login, we've got a great new feature for helping to manage payroll in a way that's both digital, but also provides you with some cash flow relief by using your credit card for this transaction. And we'll be sharing more on this soon, but if you want to understand a little bit how it works, you can actually download your payment file from within the Just Login site and load it into CardUp in order to make the payment, and then we would actually pay out via bank transfer to employees. So thank you very much for your time, and I'm sure we'll have more discussion and debate during the Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Nikki, for your sharing. So if you have any questions for Nikki, you can just put them into the Q&A box now. So maybe I'll give you a few moments to see if there are any questions coming in. Yeah, but indeed, from Just Log In, we're also very excited to launch this partnership together with CardUp to enable credit card payment for your salary. So when you run payroll on Just Log In, it actually allows you to just pay your salary through CardUp platform using credit cards. Yeah, so I think for now, I think there's one question that came in. I think the Leshuni asked whether the staff needs to have a credit card for this or just through the bank account.
No credit cards needed. So it's really just for the business that's making the payment where the credit card would be used. So that would be either company director's card or perhaps a corporate card that's issued from the bank. And with that, the payment can be charged to the credit card. But for the employee or the end recipient receiving the funds, they don't need a card. They just receive the funds directly into their bank account, exactly as if you'd paid the salary expense by bank transfer to them.
Okay, and another question from Syed. What would the interest fee be after 58 days?
So then it's your credit card bill, right? So we would strongly advise that at the end of the 58 days, you clear off your bill. And then if there's any new expenses to be put on, you can obviously charge that to the card again, because if you don't pay off your credit card bill, there are obviously higher interest charges. That's actually not between us and the customer and CardUp. It's between the customer and their bank with the credit card that they hold with your bank issuer. So what we recommend is that you use the facility, to buffer any cyclical cash flow challenges or get through the period of the sort of 55 to 58 days, and after that, clear the credit card bill.
Okay, there's another question. I'm not sure is it to CardUp or Just Log In, but does CardUp has any integration with accounting software like QuickBooks?
Yeah, so we're integrated to Xero. I had mentioned on one of the slides. So if you do use Xero as your accounting platform, we can actually put a CardUp plugin, which you can quite simply in a few clicks install within your Xero account, and that actually gives you the ability to collect credit card payments for any invoice that you're issuing through your Xero platform.
Okay, great. I don't think there's any other questions for Nikki for now? So we will actually move on to our next speaker, but if you have any questions for Nikki, feel free to just leave it in the chat, and if you have time, we'll come back to it at the end of the session. So thank you, Nikki. So next, we'll actually be inviting Chirag Tejuja, the co-founder from TapSquare. They are an AI-powered smart in-restaurant solution for F&B. So you have heard earlier Nathan has shared about his experience with TapSquare. So he will be sharing about how smart menus powered by AI can help restaurants during this period. So Chirag, over to you. You can share your presentation.
Thanks, Yiting. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for your time. I think Nathan shared earlier his experience in terms of what Harry's went through as an F&B business. And I believe that none of the F&B businesses who are on this call have a different experience, right? And in the current new normal in Singapore F&B, I think all of us are plagued with certain challenges. And before I go on to talk a bit about how we could address those challenges, I'd like to just put them all down in a list so that all of us are across them. First and foremost, I think all of you have experienced that in terms of seating capacity, because of social distancing, you've had to reduce seats. I have a customer, Sedeli. They have restaurants in which they had these hard seats built in, and the seating capacity for a couple of them restaurants actually went down by almost 50%. They had to, of course, do some renovation and find a way to increase, but still 20 to 30% is I would say the norm in terms of reduction in seating capacity. The second thing that restaurants are confronted with is that their patrons, the restaurant diners, are hesitating to go out as frequently because primarily they're concerned about their safety, which has resulted of course, in a drop in overall footfall for restaurants as well. Thirdly, a number of restaurants who relied on a certain percentage of sales on tourists have definitely seen a drop in number of diners. What has also happened is that restaurants in the CBD area have been primarily impacted, probably the most even severe, because people are not going to office to work and in as many numbers anymore. Lastly, what we also see is that delivery has been a conduit of business that restaurants turn to during the lockdown period. It has, as Nathan shared in his business's case, was about 400% increase in delivery. But what is also there is that this delivery increase in sale also means that the percentage needed to be paid to aggregators is also high, which is in some businesses cases where food costs are high, it can be unsustainable even. Lastly, I think we are all aware that the government and landlord SOPs are set to reduce and end soon. What that basically means is that restaurants have to find a way to become profitable. So the question now arises that given these challenges faced by restaurants, I think the first thing one has to do is address these challenges and question what one can do, and that will form a basis of transformation, which can then allow you as a business to succeed. So in terms of seating capacity, right? Yes, customers do tend to come during peak times. Is it possible for you to get the diners to come at different times? Is it possible to then reach out to them with certain promotions to drive them to come at those times? The question is, in order to do this, what do I need? What you need is basically customer data, and for that, and you need a platform where you can then use the data to target customers with those promotions. Next up is that in terms of customers hesitating due to safety reasons, the question then is that if you want to ensure both the safety of your customers and your staff, are there ways by which you can make the customer experience more safe? Can you go contactless dining, for example? Can you communicate that to your customer base, saying the measures you're taking in terms of being safe, so that they are aware that when they come to you, they're taken care of? Again, it comes down to having the customer data and being able to reach out to them with these messaging. What is also important is the fact that tourists may have died down. However, a number of colleagues or diners who used to travel overseas, either for business or for leisure, are now in Singapore. Can they become your new base? If they have come to your restaurant once, can you get them to come more often? Is there a way that you have the data and you can reach out to them? Next up is that for CBD area, right, where sales have really gone down, can you then use avenues like island-wide delivery to basically deliver to customers' homes who were coming to their offices but living across the country because they enjoyed your food? Can you know who these customers are when they come one-off time and then reach out to them with this information? Then again, in terms of delivery through aggregators, you've had sometimes to pay costs that are unsustainable for the business. Can you embark on cheaper delivery solutions? Are there those that can be competitive, that can sustainably help you to do island-wide delivery? And how do you market this to customers by getting the data through the system for your own consumption? Lastly, I think the need for transformation is here and now. And while I may not have answers to all the questions, what I can safely say is that the questions that are there on the sheet can be answered by TapSquare's omni-channel AI-powered contactless dining solution, which is our smart web. Now, the smart web platform that we have can be used by a customer using his own device, either inside the store or the comfort of his home. It supports all forms of ordering from dine-in, takeaway, and delivery. What's different between TapSquare's smart web and I think every other solution out there is that just given the fact that TapSquare has been in the market for over 8 years in Singapore, we have always tried to see how we can assist restaurants embark on a digital journey. And one of the biggest challenges we've always found restaurants faced was if I do digital transformation, what happens to the personal touch that my staff would give the customer? That's the reason why it was important for us to understand what personal service entailed and try to see if we can mimic and replicate or even do better through a digital solution. So if you take a look at personal service, it actually has always been a balancing act. On the one hand, it's always been about the staff attending to customers quickly, giving them a lot of content to make decisions, but it's also been about how does the staff then recommend things to be able to upsell and increase revenue for the business. At all times, being cognizant that if he's spending time with one particular customer, the next customer is getting ignored, because of which it has always been a balancing act in terms of the staff's time. However, now with technology, we no longer have that limitation, because through technology, we're able to give the power of ordering, menu selection, even payments in the customer's own hand using his own phone. What is also happening is that a customer is very comfortable to ID himself through the ordering process, and all that data is basically available to you to be able to reach out to them in terms of marketing to them or getting them back. But more importantly, all this data can also be used to understand the customer's buying patterns in terms of what kind of dishes they like. How do we try and understand that we can get them back more frequently? And instead of actually you taking those actions in terms of personalizing the menus for each individual customer, we have built an AI engine which can actually consume the data to understand the customers and give them a personal experience like never before on an individual customer level. Now, in terms of the platform itself, it's a very simple web-based platform. It essentially is like any other digital ordering interface that you've seen, where you can see a very good looking menu. You're able to actually add items to the order cart and make payment at the end without downloading another app. Just giving you a bit of a look and feel of the system itself. So the system opens up with the customer asked to log in. He can log in using his email ID, his phone number, his Facebook. He can then go ahead and select the ordering option. So if it's delivery in this case, he would then be asked to enter his area code and his address, based on which would determine whether the outlet would deliver to him. The ordering experience in the menu is actually a joy because it is extremely visual. Customers are able to see GIF images. They're able to see items recommended to them based on their past purchase. Once they go ahead and actually order through, they're able to customize it to their own individual liking. They can get recommendations of beverages and other things that would go well with the dish that they are selecting. And actually, through the entire process, they don't have to involve even a staff, not only to order, to even make payment. The ability to make payment instantly, or the other option being that the diners could order and then choose to pay at the end of the meal at the counter itself. In this case, what you can see is basically it supports easy payment options like Apple Pay and Google Pay. And once that payment is actually made, the customer receives a receipt instantly, so he knows that both his order has been sent through and that he has paid this exact amount for his own history and knowledge keeping. Now, in terms of where this menu of yours could be available, it could be available as a widget on your website saying order now. It could be on a social media call for action saying order here to get a promotion. Or it could be an EDM emailer you send through, because we have now all the customer data coming through the ordering, whether it's inside the restaurant or outside the restaurant. It could also be a QR code at the storefront for takeaway, or that on the restaurant table for customers to scan and order. It could be on the packaging that you send out with the aggregators, whereby you are now incentivizing them to scan the QR code on the packaging and order the next time to get something. It could also be with partner marketing platforms like Google Pay and OCBC Pay Anyone, which have millions of customers in Singapore accessing these platforms every day. And now basically you can have your ordering icon on there to allow customers to actually order from there, and you reach out to a wider base of customers as well. This is an example of how it could be leveraged through Google search, website, email, to Facebook. Now, just going a bit deeper in terms of what makes the experience so joyful and differentiated within TapSquare's solution versus what you've seen right out there. The one part is, of course, the very visual user interface. What is also important is that we get the customers to ID themselves, and based on that, on a particular store level, we are able to actually give customers top trending items, which can differ from store to store in case you're a chain, so that they know exactly what would suit their palate. What we also do is we actually personalize the experience for the customer using a Netflix style personalized menu. So all of us have used Netflix at some point in time. And what you've noticed is that over time, whether you like comedy, action, or drama, the menu starts to change by itself. How it does it is that actually Netflix does a painstaking effort of breaking every movie down into individual genres based on comedy being 50%, drama being 20%. Based on your own watching patterns, Netflix then starts to pick up which genre of movies you like. You might like comedy, I might like action. And then it starts moving the menu around to give you recommendations that are highly personal to you. The result of that personalization is that you, as a consumer of Netflix, end up getting a lot of content you like. You end up watching a lot of Netflix. Netflix attributes about $1 billion in revenue every year to customers retained through this joyful experience of giving personal recommendations to customers. Taking the same example to that, instead of a movie profile to a food profile for a customer, what we do is we break every single item in your menu down into individual tags based on the different meats it contains, the spiciness levels, the daily preferences. So what you're doing is, based on what customers are ordering, you're creating their food profile. You know through that ordering process what kind of meat they like, what kind of dairy preferences they have, what kind of spiciness level they like. And based on that, every single customer's menu is personalized to them. Now, when you shrink the menu from a 20-item A4 layout or a digital signage to that of a phone, where you can show a very limited number of items, it becomes that much more important to be able to personalize it to them to make the experience joyful. To explain the value of this, think about the fact that you nearly always, when you're searching for things, ordering from Google's first page. That's something similar when you're ordering for a digital menu as well. What we also do through our system is, because we ID customers, we're able to remember their past preferences and give them that data available so they can reorder quickly at the click of a button. Besides that, we work on a concept of approximate memory. Let's say you have spent $40 on an average in the store. I've spent $60. The staff would never remember it, the system does. Based on that, it also remembers what kind of items you like. You may like soup, I may like chicken wings. The system actually picks that up and is able to give promotions that are highly customized to individual customers based on their preferences. So the customer on the left, for example, in this particular restaurant's case, right, spends 50 ringgit on average. The promotion for him is a free soup because he likes soup if he spends 60 ringgit in this case. The customer on the right likes chicken, right, but he spends lesser. He spends about 35 ringgit. The promotion for him for chicken wings is 40 ringgit. All calculated by the machine to optimize each individual customer spend. So nothing talks like data. We have actually deployed this solution with Old Town White Coffee. We're working with them across Malaysia and now even in Singapore. So essentially what happens in their case is they've embarked upon a journey of contactless ordering. So they have a QR code on the table, but customers are also able to order takeaway delivery remotely through their phones as well. Now, what they've seen in their particular case is 56% of the overall transactions of their particular restaurant went through the contactless dining of SmartWeb. Given the fact that there's no hardware involved, that in itself is an impressive number. What is also important is that out of the customers who basically order through the SmartWeb, 61% voluntarily give their data available for you to reach out to them, data available for us to personalize the menu to them. And through that personalization of the menu, we were able to drive 11% higher average check versus the point of sale for them. All the orders that are placed on our SmartWeb solution come through a merchant console, which is basically very much like a terminal that you see with Grab, Deliveroo. It has very similar functions to accept orders, to be able to track them, as well as what we have is that we have integrated the ordering platform to third-party logistic providers like Lala Move as well, so that you can essentially enjoy the end-to-end experience of the food being ordered, being delivered to your customer's home. What we also do is that we offer POS integrations for customers who have one of our partner POS systems in the market as well, including market leaders such as Raptor, ePoint, Agilysys, NCR, Oracle Micros, and many others. What we also do is that we give you access to data not only in terms of operations, but also in customers. So you can actually tell who your star customers are, what kind of items they are normally ordering. So you can plan future menus according to that. They're able to actually track sales coming through first timers versus repeat customers. They're able to actually see when customers are coming, when are certain group size of customers coming, and in those group sizes, what kind of items they're ordering as well. Operationally, we're able to actually give you a map of those items that are your best sellers versus those that you need to look at to streamline. We're able to actually tell you that as a product mix, how it is so different from what you would have ordered in a conventional manner, because menu placements play a big role in terms of item uptake. We're able to actually track how items can be upsold as an add-on, as a pairing, which is very different from a physical menu because it would normally be in one category, but here you can put in different locations in the menu itself. And the solution that we have is not only the BYOD solution. We have the tablet menus like you might have seen in Swenson's and Sushi Tech. We do the self-service kiosk like you've seen in Jollibee or you've seen in Texas Chicken. We work with you to provide the digital solution that can help you embark on the digital journey that's ideal for your business. And the company itself is proudly Singaporean. We started 8 years ago. We are now present in 6 countries. We are venture capital invested, having investors like Coca-Cola Amatil, which is a bottler for Coke in Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, Resorts World Genting, and Kakaku in Japan. And we serve proudly a number of F&B clients across the region, including the likes of large chains, but also a number of SMEs within the Singapore market as well. Yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Can I just request for Ivan to just do a quick poll? Thanks a lot for really confirming that. Really appreciate that. I'm open for any questions that you might have. And for those of you who'd like to just take a look at the sneak peek at the menu, then just go ahead and scan the QR code on the screen.
Okay, thank you, Chirag. So if you have any question for TapSquare for Chirag, please feel free to put it in the Q&A box now. So while we wait for any questions to come in, just want to give a brief reminder that we will be having day 2 of our event. That will be next week on Thursday. So you can also learn from IMDA how you can use a digital resilience bonus to get some bonus from getting solutions like TapSquare, like ePOS, like Just Login. And before you exit the session, just a reminder to do the feedback form as well. Okay, so I think we don't have any specific questions. So I think someone asked how you can get more information. So when you are leaving the exiting this webinar in the feedback form, if you want to get more information, please just check on the box for the respective presenter to get back to you. So I think, Chirag, there's also a question about pricing.
Yes. So actually,
do you want to take it or take it offline?
Yeah, I think we can take it offline. I think there was a slide, and then I apologize because I had one slide that I had wanted to just present was on the digital resilience bonus. As you know, there are about it's about $10,000 that IMDA and the government is giving towards digital resilience bonus for F&B clients, and that bonus is given for those packages that have been adopted and listed within the IMDA's pre-approved PSG packages. Now, TapSquare has 2 solutions approved as part of that resilience bonus, which qualify for the $2,500 for the digital ordering for dine-in and takeaway. We have a pending application which basically covers also delivery as well as their data analytics, which would then essentially cover the entire $10,000 of DRB, which is expected hopefully to be approved the next week or so. So would love to hear back from you. You can just write into marketing@tapsquare.ai, and you just spell it as marketing, the word, at tapsquare, the company.ai, and someone will be reaching out to you to give you a demo of the solution, as well as talking a bit more about the pricing and the DRB options that you will have.
Okay, I think we just have one last question for TapSquare about whether your solution has cross-selling option. Do you want to take that? Then we can.
Yes, yes. I mean, our product, so our solution is all about AI-powered upselling and cross-selling in this case. So,
Okay.
Definitely does.
Thank you, Chirag. Okay, so next up, we actually, you already can see Ian from EPOS. So Ian Xiong is the founder and CEO of EPOS. They are a retail and F&B POS system provider. So they will share with you how retailers can boost their sales during this period of falling foot traffic. So I'll just hand it over to you, Ian. Ian, you might want to unmute your mic too.
Okay, Ethan, can I confirm that you are looking at my slides? They look well?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, good afternoon, guys. So we're here to talk about how you can actually look to boost your retail sales within this COVID environment where actually all your mall traffic is starting to fall. Okay, so this is me. Email and contact number is there. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to us. Okay, so what does EPOS do, right? So we have a all-in-one business operating solution meant for retailers. So this covers all aspects of your business needs, everything from your point of sales to your CRM, ERP, e-commerce, accounting. It's either provided by us or integrated to various popular platforms. So EPOS serves more than 3,000 SMEs in Singapore. So these are some of the SMEs that we're serving here. In terms of retail, a large proportion of our business comes from general retail trade. So mini-marts, retailers in general, actually adopt a lot of our modules of our solution. We do serve government clients as well. So these are some of the bigger names. We are at KK Hospital as part of the SingHealth group. NLB, MOM, we service their inventory management, some of their attractions, their point of sales. We do those as well. Just quickly running through MNC clients. So to the meat of today's discussion, right? Retail sales has fallen sharply. So in June, we are down 27.8% year on year, May down 50%, April down another 40% year on year. So COVID-19 has been a huge hit for retail sales. Not only that, retail sales has fallen year on year for the 17th consecutive month. So beyond just the COVID issues, there are also long-term structural problems in retail. So as our earlier speakers have talked about, consumer behavior is changing. There is fewer dine-in due to the limited capacity, due to certain consumer worries about the virus. There's fewer social gatherings. There's less consumption of takeaway drinks and snacks. So the economic environment, the social environment, social behavior is changing in the malls. So we have seen a lot less mall traffic. And one of the things that a lot of SMEs have highlighted to us is that consumers are now proceeding on a more targeted fashion. So they go in and out to purchase what they need. And there is a lot less window shopping, a lot less spending a lot of time at the mall. So given this challenging environment, what can the SME retailer do? So I'll be sharing 8 tips that we have discussed with a lot of our clients. So the EPOS teams meets with about 10 to 15 SMEs a day. So that brings us to about 2,000 SMEs a year that we meet with. These are some of the top tips from the people that are doing well now. So the first thing, evaluating your target audience and business model. So I think post the circuit breaker, if you just heading back, hoping that everything comes back to normal, it's going to be challenging. So from what we are seeing, tourism looks dead for the foreseeable future as well. CBD, government office buildings, a lot have been impacted by work from home. And even at the malls, right, you're seeing a profile shift where typically people are going out more with their families in smaller groups. And in terms of social gatherings, it's not as much. So what can the SME retailer do? Several ideas come to mind. First is in terms of looking at your product mix. So are you targeting, is there something you can do to target the people that are still coming to your mall? In terms of the product range, pricing, is there something you can do to target a more local audience or perhaps a more everyday crowd? So something interesting that our clients have been doing is that they have been able to negotiate pop-up stores at lower rents at malls that have significant vacancies. So let's say if your business is operating in a government office building that's been impacted by work from home, right? It's going to be challenging to be sure. Perhaps you might want to consider moving some of your staff over to pop-up stores at malls that still have some amount of traffic. A lot of these locations are quite affordable now, given the vacancies that they have available. In terms of the visual merchandising of your store, that's also something to think about. So for example, one of our clients was sharing with us that they are a cafe, so they removed all the tablecloths from their table. They had bare table surfaces, and that actually encourages some of the consumers to come in for the lunch crowd or for independent, basically solo diners to come in to eat. So certain things like in terms of the merchandising, in terms of the overall ambience, it's something to consider in terms of how you can get the people that are still in the mall to come into your shop. Next, we have your manpower planning. So I think people ask me, are you joking in? It's such a bad environment. You think you are what, asking us to explore getting new staff? So this is not a joke, because a lot of what we are going to share in terms of driving e-commerce sales, in terms of implementing a CRM, you will have to have people who are familiar with this area. So what options do you have available to you, right? So if you're a regular SME, you don't have people with CRM skills, you don't have people with social media marketing skills, what can you do? So there's actually a lot of government grants available to help you to explore manpower in these areas. So let's say you're hiring new staff, SG United Mid-Career. If you're thinking of hiring specialized staff who will be helping you with, let's say, social media, you can also explore the WSG PCP program. If you want to retrain your existing staff to learn more about this, you can also send them for WSG enhanced training. That will cover, so typically these programs cover 80%, 90% of the cost fees, as well as 80, 90% of the payroll for the next 6 to 12 months. So this is a good buffer as you transition your staff into roles that are more relevant in a COVID environment. So driving online sales. For a retailer, a lot of the concerns are about if I spend a lot of time on my e-commerce site, how will I then drive online sales to my offline site, to my actual store? So there's actually many different variants of this. You could consider buy online, pay in store, or buy online, collect in store. These are all different variants, right? In terms of online to offline specials, such that they get coupons online, but they have to spend the coupons in your store. So you could be offering online only coupons, offline only coupons. Those are all things that are available in the EPOS system. Then you look at the different sales channels that are available to you. So let's say Lazada, Q10, your own e-commerce website, Facebook Live, Carousel. How do you think about all these platforms? So again, I think this one is something that perhaps you might want to send your staff for additional training for, and put people to actually grow and promote these platforms. So in terms of where systems can help, typically this is in terms of integration to your CRM loyalty program, so that your customer management, you have a dashboard of your customer spend with you across all these platforms. In terms of proper inventory management, so you can consider all the inventory going out through these different platforms as well. So driving online sales, one of the biggest factor then is your social media and online marketing. So these are some of the more common social media marketing platforms, your AdWords, your Facebook, Instagram, your influencers. So the question here is really, in terms of manpower, right? Perhaps one of the things to consider is sending your existing staff or your new staff for more social media online marketing campaign training. And typically government pays for 90% of these programs. So that's one way to approach the problem. Okay, so moving on to the fifth one, our CRM and loyalty program. So 3 out of 4 US company generates a positive ROI on their loyalty program. So a lot of SME owners will ask me, Ian, so it seems like a huge hassle, right, to implement a loyalty program for SME. You have PDPA, you have to think about what kind of promotions you're offering, you have to think about like how to incentivize the customers. So what's critical here is that the system needs to be hassle-free. Customer needs to be able to sign up immediately on the spot via their own mobile phone. Let's say they sign a QR code on your cashier counter, they can sign up for a membership program. It needs to be easy to understand for them, right? In terms of what the benefits are for me to sign up today. So one of the interesting things when we talk to customers about is, what is required for 90% of customers to sign up to your membership program? What sort of rebate points are required, right? So interestingly, the number is fairly low. It might surprise quite a few people in that just 2% rebate points are sufficient to get 90% of customers to sign up to your CRM program. So this is something that retailers might want to consider, because 2% is not a big amount. And if you can gather the data on your customers, you are able to offer them promotions to come back. This is well worth the hassle. So given that you have a CRM loyalty program in place, which is typically the first thing that most retailers will look to implement, what's next? As some of our early speakers have talked about, it's about driving upselling. So where are your touch points, and where and how can you upsell to your customer? So typically this is your service staff who is in the store helping people. But this is a bit challenging as well, because now most customers don't like to talk to other people, right, because of the COVID situation. The other touch point is at your checkout, your cashier. So typically, if you go to an MNC like McDonald's, their cashier is trained to advise the customers to buy additional items and services. This tends to be a challenge for SMEs. So EPOS, what we have is that we have an automated checkout promotion upselling campaign, where this is all automated at the point of sales. And I'll be sharing a bit more shortly. So in terms of upselling, how and what you actually upselling? How and what do you upsell? So first is looking at promotion bundles. So basically that's encouraging promotion completions. So let's say they already have certain items that are part of a promotion bundle. Encouraging them to complete the bundle is one good way to upsell. Giving customers incentive to buy more. So let's say that is your multi-tier pricing. And the third is to analyze the common rejections and see where you can add value in terms of the bundle. So for example, some of our mobile phone shops, they actually do things like free screen protector, free installation of the screen protector, such that customers can see the additional value add in the bundle. So one easy way to implement upselling is through our EPOS automated checkout prompt. So here what you see is that even at a mini-mart, which you don't typically see upselling at, the customer-facing screen actually triggers an upselling prompt, basically a promotion, when the customer buys certain items. So imagine your customer, right? You scan your items, the cashier scans your item. Before you check out, before you're asked to pay, the system shows you certain promotions. So in this example, system shows like a alcohol-based hand sanitizer at $2. So what's interesting about this is that the customer actually has to physically click yes or no on the promotion. So this is intentional part of the design, because a lot of times your promotions just rotate and nobody really takes a look. But actually forcing the customer to click yes or no, that actually adds to the upselling potential. So what have we seen after implementing, or what can you expect after implementing something like that? Consistently applied upselling, you can boost your sales by 3 to 10%. In terms of your check size, it's easy to understand and implement for the business owner, easy to understand for the cashier and the customer. So typically customers are a bit impatient if the cashier asks them a lot of questions. But if the system is the one to deliver the upselling to the customer, typically customers don't have as much a problem with it. And this is a clear and substantial win for the business owner. So even in the first 2 weeks of your implementation of such upselling, you can expect to see an increase in sales. And for EPOS, our strength really is in the practical implementation. So let's say customers ask, what if the items are too far away? Which means that at the cashier, there's a prompt, the items are at the other end of the store. So our system actually allows you to categorize certain promotions as being impractical. So what if at peak hour traffic, you want to disable the promotions? Our system can do that. What if the customer is a bit blurred? He doesn't know what to click, or the customer is particularly not so tech savvy. He doesn't know what to click. In this case, the cashier on the cashier end can actually press the skip button for the customer. So these are all practical implementation details that we are very strong at. So given that we have this upselling in place, right? Then the next question that SMEs will ask is, how do I know what to upsell? Or how do I know what to bundle together in terms of my promotions? So we have a product affinity analysis, which basically helps you to identify what products typically sell well together. And based on this analysis, you can plan your promotion strategically. You can plan your item locations, your visual merchandising strategically as well. And perhaps you might want to consider traffic generators or loss leaders that actually create a lot of foot traffic into the store, but can help to drive the sales of other promotions. So we do have analytics like that that can help you to gauge the overall profitability of your loss leaders. So looking at our product affinity analysis to discover item associations. So this is one example that is running with one of our clients of ours. So to zoom into different item affinities, right? So let's take a look at, this is a beer purchase. So it's a bit small, I'll explain a bit more. So let's say for Carlsberg, what you notice is that people are buying Carlsberg in different package sizes, the 320 ml with the 500 ml, and people are buying different brands of beer. They are buying the Heineken with the Anchor with the Tiger at the same time. So this was interesting to the business owner, right? Because typically you imagine that I buy beer for personal consumption. This is my favorite brand, favorite size, this is what I buy. But the takeaway here is that people are buying beer also as a social gathering mechanism. I mean, not to speculate on whether it's right or wrong in this environment, but the thing is people do buy beer at different packaging, different brands. So in terms of promotions, you might want to consider things like beer promotions as a category, such that customers can choose across brand, across sizes, because people are buying them for their gatherings, right? So if they're buying them for their gatherings, you will typically buy different brands, different sizes to cater to your audience. Another item association that we see very constantly is that people are buying different flavors. So let's say your Pokka peach tea goes with your green tea, your Himalaya salt, your sweet. The people buy the ginger lemon flavor together with the lemon extra cool flavor. So these are things that you might want to consider in that you have mix and match promotions. Okay, so the last tip is in terms of inventory management. So one of the main things is that if you're looking at your overall sales, your product categories, how can you plan your inventory correctly such that, let's say over the last Hari Raya weekend, over the coming National Day weekend, what are things that will likely sell well? We do have analysis like that, where it's intelligent forecasting for product categories that will likely sell well over this weekend. So you want to plan your inventory in advance. How to reduce out of stock losses? So this is a hidden loss in that a lot of SMEs track their wastage quite carefully, but a lot of SMEs don't have the ability or the technical expertise to track when products go out of stock, when customers come to the store and they cannot buy the item. Okay, so this was extracted 2 weeks ago. So on Sunday before the Hari Raya week. So in this particular example, the EFOS AI system is actually forecasting that Hari Raya is going to be particularly well because it's a public holiday, and there is an increase in sales forecasted. So this is one aspect of it. Next question is, what can I do, right? So here we have the category-based forecast in which the system predicts that given that you have a long weekend, given that it's a Hari Raya weekend, cigarette sales will do well, beer will do well, beverages will do well. So these are the top categories that you will want to prepare for ahead of the long weekend. So actually in this forecast, there are numbers as well, but they have been blurred out because it's sensitive. Okay, so together with ordering more inventory is also planning to reduce your out of stock, in the sense that certain products, when they run out, they result in lost sales because you no longer have this product for sale. So in our system, in the reporting, we actually have a forecast of how much you are losing on a weekly basis. So in this particular example, one outlet alone is losing almost $2,000 per week in sales because certain products are running out of stock. So the system can share with you what products run out of stock and when the product runs out of stock. So in this particular example, the Carlsberg ran out of stock on the Saturday, on the Friday, and that resulted in almost $300 less in sales because this product is out of stock. And this is a very actionable product where your managers can easily understand that, oh, I didn't order enough of these particular products over the weekend, and therefore I had sales loss. Okay, so given all these tips that we have shared today, a lot of people will be asking, so how do I implement? How do I go ahead? Sounds interesting. What do I do next? So the EPOS business operating system covers a lot of the different aspects that have been shared with you today. So in terms of e-commerce, CRM, inventory management, accounting, all this is an integrated part of the system. And most importantly, our system is designed to be easy to use. So it's meant to be accessible to business owners who don't have a lot of technical experience, who don't have a lot of technical data analytics experience. It's meant to be easy to use. For example, one of our bigger client chains is the former Econ Minimart, UMart chain with about 60 Minimart outlets in Singapore. So a lot of their business owners are first-gen business owners in their 60s, 70s, and the system is meant to be accessible to a wide range of business owners like that. In terms of reports, analysis, it's all designed to help you to increase your sales. So getting on to the main thing, the grants cover 80 to 98% of the systems. So with DRB, it exceeds 100% of the price. Upfront, you're looking to pay 6,000 to 15,000, depending on what modules you get. And the funding, as shared, is 80 to 98%, with DRB often exceeding 100%. Okay, so if everything is interesting, please WhatsApp us, please email us. I'll leave our contact information here for a few seconds for people to take note. Okay, so thank you very much for your time today.
Okay, thank you, Ian. So if anyone has any question for Ian, feel free to use the chat. So we will be closing off this session after Ian is done with his Q&A, as time is kind of running short. So while we wait to see if there are more questions coming in, just another reminder again that the day 2 of our virtual event will be happening next Thursday, same time. So hope to see you there and hear from IMDA, from Just Login, as well as from ActPro. And you can also learn about the digital resilience bonus, which you can use to get some money for solutions like EPOS, TapSquare, Just Login, as well as accounting software. And before you drop off as well, feel free to please leave us some feedback on our feedback form. For today's, the slides as well as the webinar recording, we'll be sending it to everyone's inboxes shortly. So really thank you all for attending this event. I think we don't really have any particular questions for Ian right now, but no worries. If you have anything that you want to find out from each of our presenters today, feel free to just indicate in our feedback form and we will link you up accordingly. So thank you again to all my wonderful speakers, Vicky, Chirag, Ian. It was a pleasure to have you here. And thank you all. I hope to see you all again next Thursday. You don't have to register for day 2, so it's going to be the same link. You'll receive a reminder email again. So I'll see everyone next week. Thank you, and have a good day. Bye-bye.